This time on Documentify TV. This looks like a Hopi-style flute player figure. In the American Southwest, figures like this are relatively common. But this one wasn't found in Arizona or New Mexico. It was found in the Grotto Canyon in the Canadian Rockies, about 1,200 miles from where you would expect to see imagery like this. So what exactly are we looking at here? The site sits just west of Calgary, near Canmore, along a narrow limestone canyon carved by glacial meltwater, and painted onto that rock wall is a red ochre figure. It's slightly hunched with bent limbs and what appear to be antennae or feather-like projections from its head, and it's holding a short linear object close to its face. To many researchers, that posture strongly resembles a flute player, something widely documented in the rock art traditions of the American Southwest. But there's a problem, because imagery like this isn't supposed to be here. For decades, this panel was incredibly difficult to study. A natural layer of calcite, basically a thin mineral coating, formed over the rock face, sealing the pigment underneath. That helped preserve it, but it also made the figures faint, blurry, and almost invisible under normal light. Then in 2001, specialized cross-polarized photography changed that. By removing surface glare, researchers were finally able to see the figures clearly, and what they found wasn't just one image. There's a central flute player-like figure, a zigzag line above it, and nearby, three smaller figures with triangular bodies and what look like headdresses or horns. Taken together, the imagery doesn't match typical rock art traditions of the Canadian Rockies or Northwestern Plains, but it does show strong similarities to styles found much farther south, particularly in regions like Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. So how does something like this end up here? There are a few possibilities. One is long-distance cultural transmission. We know that pre-contact trade networks in North America were extensive. In Alberta alone, archaeologists have found obsidian that originated in Idaho and Wyoming. So the movement of materials and ideas over long distances is not controversial. But there's a difference between trading objects and reproducing symbolic imagery in a completely different landscape. Another possibility is independent creation, because while the resemblance is strong, it's not perfect. The figure here doesn't match every feature of what's known in the Southwest, so it raises a question. Are we seeing a direct connection or a similar idea that develops separately? There's also a cultural layer to consider. This site exists within the traditional territory of the Stoney Nakoda nations, and while the canyon has long been known and respected, not all interpretations of the imagery are publicly shared. So from an outside perspective, there are limits to what we can confidently conclude. What we do know is this: a flute player-like figure appears here, in a place where the style is not typically found, hundreds of miles from the regions where similar imagery is most common. And that makes it a genuine anomaly, not necessarily proof of a specific migration, but a clear signal that connections across this continent may have been more complex than we assume. Because once you start looking at these patterns, you begin to realize this isn't the only time a site appears far outside where it should be, and the next one pushes that idea even further. That's it for today's video, folks. See you next time right here on Documentify TV.